Brooke, today I want to ask you, what are some tools you can give us for relationships with ADHD to add to our toolbox?
Yeah, I know we did a relationship part one, so today we're doing a part two.
Hmm.
So if you're an ADHDer, whether it be a relationship, friendship with a neurotypical or another ADHDer, some things that ADHDers struggle with in relationships, as we spoke about in part one, was communication, having effective communication where each partner understands each other. Um, Things that we struggle with: out of sight, out of mind. So if you don't see a friend or you are busy doing something and your partner's not around, you might forget to text them back or call them back. So they might think that you are ignoring them when
Yep.
really it's just that out of sight, out of mind.
Hmm.
Um, Differing boundaries or lifestyles. So really getting to know that, dealing with rejection sensitivity. Um, Also, the ADHD friend or partner might feel constantly nagged, criticized, misunderstood, have some negative thoughts associated with that, and also with their conditioning in their past. Two-thirds of our thoughts are negative to begin with, so you add that into play. Forgetfulness, trouble paying attention, impulsivity, emotional outbursts, poor organizational skills, all these executive functions that we can struggle with can also play into our relationships in a negative way, whether it be, again, a romantic relationship or a friend.
Hmm.
So, some tools that I would recommend is really understanding each other's core values. That's huge, and making sure that your values align with each other along with your interests. And I know I say this every episode, and we did it in the last one, but you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So if you are in a relationship, whether it be a friendship or a romantic, with someone who doesn't have the same values as you will constantly clash. And you'll feel like a magnet that's pulling apart rather than connecting.
Yes.
Um, yeah, understanding each other's love language, making sure that if the other person enjoys physical touch, that's the way that you show your love to them. Very often we show our love the way that we like to receive it rather than the other person how they like to receive it. Separating our facts from our stories. Sometimes we create these stories about people and label them. We talked about Daniel Amen and those negative thoughts and labeling people and things, but really understanding what we're creating in our minds based on our history and conditions rather than what actually is so. Identifying, again, your history, conditions, and how that's playing into your present, breaking free from that child and parent dynamic, which very often, if you have a neurotypical friend or neurotypical partner, they might take on the role of a parent, and you might feel micromanaged, you might feel belittled, and it creates a power struggle. So in order to do that, what I've recommended actually in one of my articles on Attitude Magazine, where I talk about marital problems, divorce, pandemic, ADHD, I have it on my website, Coaching with Brooke. I'll also put this in our link so
Hmm.
people can take a closer look at it. But notice the traits that you like about your partner. So often we think about the negatives and the things that we have to work on. Like, why did I fall in love with my partner in the first place? How do I feel when he or she shows those positive traits? And review those answers to the questions daily to strengthen your positive thinking, because we have to work on positive thinking. It just doesn't come naturally for us.
Yes.
Say thank you for all the things that your partner or your friend does that you're grateful for. That could go a long way. Display pictures around your house, on your phone, on your computer of happy memories shared with your spouse. So many adults with ADHD, we have poor working memory. So seeing a picture of a happy time will trigger ourselves to remind us of happier times.
Hmm.
Consider joining a support group for, ADHD coaching, trying cognitive behavioral therapy, seeking counseling, and also fill up our emotional tank. So we talk about mindfulness, sleep, exercise, hobbies, movement, rewarding ourselves, before falling asleep, telling our partner things that we love about them to, get into that positive mindset before you go to bed and connect.
Yeah.
Um, Weekly meetings, delegating things that we don't like that are our weaknesses to our partner and vice versa. So the ADHD partner might have a lot of strengths that the non-ADHD partner might not have. So making sure we understand what those strengths are and divide and conquer.
Yeah. Um, I like those a lot. I like the values. You bring up the values. I think values are the backbone of a relationship. Everyone thinks, a lot of people think interests are so important in a relationship, but we want to have similar interests. I think the word values fits better. I think that's the backbone of a relationship. I also like that you bring up the positive thinking. Um, you know, us with ADHD, sometimes we have that lack of effort because we fall into that hyper focus in the early stages of the relationship, and the hyper focus fades away, and then you run into things like decision fatigue, and you just become forgetful, and then there's time management planning. You don't really you're disorganized. You're not focused on the relationship. You don't put as much effort as you should be. A really cool tool I think is super important. I've been in a relationship for 5 years with my girlfriend, and a lot of tools you bring up are super helpful. I've used many of these, and this is something she's brought. She's bought me. She got me a little jar, and in the jar are slips, and on the slips there's things that we could do.
Oh, I
For
like
example,
that.
go to the beach, play board games, a shopping day at the mall, go watch the sunset, go to drive-in movies, order in, just relax today, things like that. And that is super helpful during those times where you don't know what to do, you're indecisive, and it just, spices things up a little bit. And it could be so many, all sorts of different things in the slip. Obviously, each relationship is a different. You can have your own little things that you guys enjoy doing together as well. It could be as simple as just give me a kiss, you know what I mean? Or give me a hug and on the slip. So that's something really fun that my girlfriend and we do. She got me that as a gift for, I
I love
forgot. Yeah, it's really great. Just when those times of lack of effort come. And I like the weekly meetings things you bring up too. It's you really need to communicate and be as transparent as possible. Express those talk about those pet peeves. You know what I mean? Like we all have pet peeves of each other, and talk about it and don't take it to heart. I think it's super important to meet in the middle and understand if your loved one, you want to do what's best for them, and try to meet in the middle, communicate. How can you figure it out? Managing your time, planning, all those are super important. And sometimes, us with ADHD, whether um, the couple both have ADHD or only one does, you may blurt things out without thinking, which can hurt feelings. So that's another part of communication. You have those,
Impulsivity.
yep, that impulsivity, exactly. You have those balled up feelings that can lead to resentment, anger. You want to communicate as much as possible. Apologize or just be transparent of what's going on and why you did that.
Yeah,
Another,
I
go
love
ahead.
the jar thing. My
Yeah,
husband and I both have ADHD, so we both have our own businesses, so we're constantly making decisions throughout the day. And the last thing we want to do when we get home to each other is make more decisions. So very often we're on the couch and we're trying to scroll on Netflix and it's like, what should we watch? Should we try something new? Blah 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 blah. All right, let's just go back to what we were watching. And then we spend an hour trying to make that decision where it's wasted energy and time. So
exactly,
I just
exactly.
wanted to share, sorry, I know I cut you off, but
You're good.
last week, you and I both struggled with COVID, and I had it, my husband did not. And we didn't have the jar, but he made such romantic dinners that were so different than our usual. It spiced things up, even though we were socially distanced outside, whatever. We were present, and my love language is quality time. So being able to do something different that wasn't sitting on the couch watching TV at the end of the day and was intentional, it was like date night every night. It was great.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And the love language you bring up, making sure you put in those activities that satisfy the love language. Do you know how many times my girlfriend and I We don't know what to watch, what movie to watch. So we try to create lists during our down.
Yes. Can you share your list with me? Because we have a list too, but
Yes.
then we go through the list and we're like, this doesn't sound exciting. So one of us just needs to pull the trigger and commit.
Exactly. I share with you a list of movies and series that we've
Please
watched.
do. Please do. I'll share with you too.
Yes, exactly. And it's like those moments, like you said, an hour goes by and you don't know what to do. So kind of planning that out during your downtime, and even restaurants or places to order in the food. Do you know how many times we don't know where we want to get food?
Oh my gosh, having a rotating menu or a rotating list can be so helpful for that.
Oh yeah. Make a list of classic places that you guys like eating and new places that you want to try. You know, go
Yes.
on Yelp and go to like some good rated places.
But ahead of time, not
Ahead of time.
during the
Yes, ahead of time. And that's so important. And that's like the effort that you want to put in ahead of time. And your significant other will look at you and be like, you're amazing. You did this. You're the best. So those little things are super important for making sure your relationship is strong and positive.